Do 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 do. Please don't copyright this. I am just kidding because I'm not monetized, so you can't do anything. But hello everybody! So as you can tell by the way I started this video, I'm a pretty big fan of The Office. And as all Office fans know, Season 9 was a mess. Easily, it was the worst season of the whole series. But I think I've figured out exactly what makes it so terrible, and also how to fix it. And it surprisingly wasn't as hard as you think it is.
That's what she said!
Oh, and if you haven't figured out already, there's gonna be spoilers for The Office in this video. Because why else would you have clicked on the video? Honestly, I actually do like a lot of things from Season 9. I mean, there's a ton of jokes that I think are some of the funniest of the whole series. And I mean, pretty much everything Dwight does in this season is hilarious.
This is Jim!
Oh, dude. How did...
Nate! Your mother is dying.
15 feet down, it's at a 45-degree angle. Get set in your haunches. It's like you're catching a medicine. The size of my haunches.
A letter from Robert Dunder. A valuable artifact has come into my possession. I have hidden it until such time as a person of strong intellect may safely recover it.
The Dunder Code.
Invisible ink.
Higher than numbers go.
The ceiling above the county.
Dwight! An X.
Annex.
Sidus introiti. Seat of entrance.
What?
That's a flush.
The warehouse.
Just forget it. Forget it.
Judgment is nigh, for der Belschnickel ist I.
Yes, he is finally nigh.
You know how they say some people were born to be bad? Well, I was born to be Belschnickel.
I have ears, Dwight.
Oh, do you really have ears, fellas?
Like all human beings, we all have ears.
See what you leave me with here, Jim?
We Schroots don't need some Harvard doctor to tell us who's alive and who's dead. But there was an unlucky streak of burying some heavy sleepers, and when grave robbers discovered some scratch marks on the inside of some of the coffins, we decided to make sure that our dead were completely dead. Out of kindness.
And actually, there's really only two things that make this season just terrible. And those two things are Jim's new job and Andy. Just Andy. The character of Andy. So first, Jim's new job. I actually really do like the core idea of Jim getting a new job that he's really passionate about and how that changes his behavior. Even the idea that it creates some tension between him and Pam isn't that bad of an idea. Once you add in things like the sound guy hitting on Pam and Jim and Pam needing marriage counseling, that's where it gets a little weird. I think that if they handle this a little more subtly and, you know, didn't do the whole thing with the sound guy, it probably would have worked. But what they really should have done was waited till A.A.R.M or A.A.R.M, the episodes before the finale episodes. I'm just gonna call it A.A.R.M for now. But they should have waited till A.A.R.M to introduce the idea of Jim's new job. They could have had it where Jim gets the call from his friend. He's very excited about the job. He goes in and tells Pam, who understandably makes him realize that he can't do that. And then Jim agrees that that's not really something that they can really do. And then, the rest of the episode really just plays out how it did. With Pam thinking that she's not enough for Jim, seeing that Jim's just doing stupid stuff with Dwight. And then you have Jim have the camera crew make the disc showing that Pam is everything to Jim. And I mean, isn't A.A.R.M just great? Isn't A.A.R.M just great? We'll get back to that later. Now, moving on to Andy. Literally everything that Andy does in this season is just awful. I mean, he takes being an idiotic jerk to a whole new level. And it's kind of strange because he always was kind of the idiotic jerk character anyway, so it doesn't really make sense why this is any different. Well, I think I figured out exactly why. Okay, so to fully understand this, we need to first understand something that I think almost all stories in general have. And that is what I like to call, at least, the hierarchy of characters. And for The Office, you pretty much have three main groups. The tertiary characters, such as David Wallace and Todd Packer, the secondary characters like Creed and Meredith, and the primary characters. Now the interesting thing about the primary characters is there's a subgroup which I like to call the Big Three. And these three are Jim, Dwight, and Michael. So the problem arises when Michael leaves the show at the end of season 7. Now there's an empty spot in the Big Three. So Andy, who was one of the primary characters, moves up into the Big Three. But Andy doesn't belong there. Jim, Dwight, and Michael really worked because they all played off of each other so well. But with Andy, it just doesn't work. Also, Pete and Aaron. Why? I mean, like, I see what they were going for, but it just makes no sense when you just had, like, a whole season of getting Andy and Aaron back together. So then obviously the logical thing to do is make Andy the biggest jerk you've ever seen, send him off on a boat trip for 3 months, and have Aaron leave him for the new young guy. Not even to mention that Pete and Aaron are obviously just a knockoff Jim and Pam. I mean, I guess you could argue that, like, every couple in the series is pretty much a knockoff Jim and Pam. But not really, because all of them have something that makes them unique. Like Michael and Holly. Holly is literally a female version of Michael. Need I say more? And, well, Andy and Aaron. Their thing was being strangely awkward and weird and cringy. But Pete and Aaron, let's see, the charismatic guy that thinks his job is pointless and the receptionist that's dating a jerk. Sound familiar? I mean, Pete is literally called New Jim at first. But honestly, I do think that the whole Pete and Aaron thing could have worked if you didn't already have Andy and Aaron. I mean, I see what they were trying to do with making Andy a jerk, like not asking Aaron to go on the 3-month boat trip with him. But the way they did it just didn't make any sense. So that's how to fix Season 9 of The Office. Now, of course, that's excluding A.R.M. and the finale episodes, because those are genius.